Hi guys, I'm Dr. Jenny White, a dentist in Sarasota, Florida, and her fearless patient Susan with our podcast, Open Wide, Unfiltered Opinions between a dentist and her patient. Over the past 25 years or so, I've been sitting in a little room talking to myself all day, and I've gained a lot of wisdom through that process, which I want to share with you. We hope our podcast casts optimism and fearlessness to you so you can rise to the top, stay at the top, and dream bigger than you've ever imagined. So on today's Soup du Jour, we have a contemplative conversation about dating etiquette. Whether you are 20 or 200 years old, some things stand the test of time, and I feel I need to remind everyone of these important time-tested views. Maybe since I've never had children, I feel an obligation to discuss it to our podcast and pass it on. And I'm talking about finding the love of your life, not the love of the hour. Susan, let's dive into some dating etiquette ideas, and if you agree/disagree, what do you think?
Well, I think this is kind of an interesting subject that you and I are tackling since you've been in a relationship for 18 years. And I'm recently widowed, so I've been on the dating market for like 7.5 minutes. So we're hardly the noted experts on this. But of course, we have opinions about everything, so we've got opinions about this too. You know, as I was thinking about this subject today, I reminded myself that from the time I was a very little girl, we're talking 7 or 8 years old, there was one thing I never wanted to be, and that was a damsel in distress. It was very clear to me at a very early age that I did not want to be dependent or a damsel in distress. I'm sure it was Snow White. I'm sure it was Sleeping Beauty. I'm sure it was Rapunzel that actually pushed me over the edge. Like, you can't get out of that tower yourself. Are you freaking kidding me? You got to wait for the guy to show up. I don't know what it was, but that's where I've sort of come from my whole life, that I feel like I could be independent and stand on my own 2 feet and do things for myself. So one of the questions that we had was, who should pay when you go on a date or a first date? And my thinking is that if I'm going on a date, then we should probably split the bill, or you buy this time, I'll buy next time, because I just can't imagine that I'm that interesting for an hour and a half through a steak dinner that you would afford to pay, not afford to pay for me, but you would pay for me to just talk, right? So that always seemed like uneven to me. So anyway, I guess this is a long-winded way of saying that I feel like women in the dating world today can be a little bit more independent than they were, say, years ago, and come to it on an equal footing and as friends, as opposed to you're doing something for me and then there's an expectation that I'm going to do something for you afterwards. Anyway, does that make any sense?
It makes absolute sense, but I disagree with that.
Okay.
So
point, counterpoint. Go ahead, Jenny.
So I think whomever does the invitation should pay. So
Okay.
if I invite you to dinner, I don't expect you to show up and split the bill with me.
Okay.
Or show up and call me a friend and split the bill. I'm inviting you, so I'm going to take care of the meal.
Okay. Well, first of all, we're not talking you're inviting me because we're friends. But this plays into my theory, which is that as friends, I say to you, let's have dinner on Thursday night, Jenny, and go to the Ruth Chris Steakhouse if you're still allowed back in there after last night. And you're not going to say,
shout out to Ruth Chris. We love Ruth Chris.
We're going to split the bill, right? So we're not talking friends. Okay.
Right,
so
right,
that's
right.
the first point I want to make. The second is, absolutely, if there's a socioeconomic divide between us and you're going to show up in your private jet so you could take me to New York City for dinner as a male on a date, then I'm not paying for half that gas, okay? Like, that's pretty clear. But I don't know why we can't go, a male and a female can't go to have dinner and say at the end of the dinner, do you want to split the bill, or why don't I pay this time, you pay next time? I don't know. That's sort of my mindset.
So I think we're definitely talking about looking for a long-lasting relationship partner to be with here. We're not talking about friends getting together.
Okay,
so, yeah.
But first dates, you have no idea whether that's going to be long-lasting or not.
Right, but you're going in it. You're entering into it saying, this person seems interesting to me. I wonder if there's a spark. I wonder if there's something there. you're not looking at this person and saying, that's going to be my pickleball partner for life right
no,
there.
but I think I'm going into it with the idea that I'm interviewing this person for whether or not you're going to have a second date, and he's interviewing me.
I agree. And I think, but whoever, for me, and you can do it however you want to do it, but for me, if I'm inviting, I'm paying.
You mean if you're the male inviting a female to dinner, you're paying.
Right. Or if I'm
you're
the female
inviting
the male, or if I'm a female, like anybody, if you're a male inviting a male, a female inviting female,
and
whatever,
is that
whoever
because this way
does
it's
the
always been
invitation.
done in your mind, or what? Help me understand why you wouldn't, think that today's a different place than it was like 30 years ago.
I was trying to get to the bottom of that,
You don't
thinking
know.
about it. Well, and I don't know, but I think it's culturally. I hated that my parents shoved that concept into my brain, that the man should pay, the man should get the door, the man should this, the man should that. But I think it's kind of trickled down and sort of solidified in my brain. Now, it's interesting with BHT Tom, we never have a conversation about who's paying for what. I could care less if I'm doing the airplane and the rental and he does the hotel or I do the hotel or what, like however it works out. I think when you're in the right relationship, and believe me, I'm not a relationship expert, but when you've got one that really clicks on 9 out of 10 levels, this is not an issue because
agree.
you just, it just flows. But for me, if I'm inviting a guy that I'm interested in, that I think we may have something and I'm looking for love, I'm going to buy that dinner. I don't know. It's an act of generosity, probably. And old concreted stuff that's stuck in my brain.
Okay. So what I hear you say is if you've initiated the date as a female, then you're the one that feels responsible to pay.
Right.
But if he's initiated the date, you really feel like he should pick up the tab.
Totally. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, yeah.
And we don't have to agree on it. I mean, we can disagree on it. Here's another question I have for you. I was thinking about, where do people go these days to find love?
Oh my God. We don't have enough time to go through all that. Yeah. Well, of course, there's 5 million dating sites that you could go to. In fact, in a future podcast, I'd love to have a friend of mine on who manages dating. Like she knows which ones are good and which ones are
the
not.
breakdown.
I'm not the person to ask because I'm so new into this. My experience has been when I'm meeting people now, it's usually in places where I'm traveled to. So in lounges or on planes.
Interesting.
It's and so you find like-minded people if you're sitting in a plane and they're going to the same place you're going to, right? Like so that sparks a conversation but if I'm traveling to, San Francisco and the guy lives in San Francisco, that's not very good it's not very conducive for a relationship because I'm in one place and he's in another. But nevertheless, that seems to be a good place to meet people because you're with like-minded folks who like to travel.
I love that. And, I wouldn't have thought of the airplane as a device or a mechanism to help introduce you to potentially someone. I love that idea. Tom and I met in California. I was on vacation with myself and he was traveling through for work. So 2 people who live in Florida met in California. So it's just so random, I think. And and the one thing that I don't know if you agree on this, but one thing that I disagree on trying to push and make it happen. I'm going to get on these dating sites. I'm going to join this club. I'm going to volunteer at this place. I'm going to push, and I'm going to make it happen. For me, in my life, that's never turned out to be Tom. I found Tom when I had given up all hope. Seriously. I was really, if George Clooney had walked in and knocked on my door during my vacation, I would have gone, oh, please.
But that shouldn't surprise you because you're a believer in life gives you things you need when you need them, and the manifestation and so forth. And I've told the story before about how I met my husband in Paris. The last thing, I was there on business. The last thing I wanted to do, I had already gotten out of a long-term relationship. I was single. I almost said free, single for the first time in years, and I was having a blast. And the last thing I wanted to do was to get into a relationship. And yet there he was. And the second we met each other, we knew instantly that,
Wow.
okay, there you are. And I was reading a book at the time called The Celestine Prophecy, which is kind of an old book. And there's a chapter on coincidence. And I happened to be reading the chapter on coincidence while I was in Paris. And it says that nothing happens by coincidence. So I think, and I certainly know, that your meeting with Tom had nothing to do with coincidence. It had everything to do with it was the time when the two of you were going to meet. And it comes from like a larger source or, whatever you want to call it. I'm a huge believer in that. Huge.
I agree. So you're in agreement that you can't force love to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in agreement with that. Yeah. And do I think it's a good idea to go on dating sites and meet new people? Yes. And could you meet your, quote, soulmate out of one of those dating sites? Yes, I have girlfriends who have done that. But I think that was their time to meet somebody.
So we did a podcast about cultural differences not too long ago. And on that podcast, Susan, we talked about how in the Indian culture, for example, family is everything. The tribe, you got a big tribe, you got a lot of family. And in America, it's more individualistic. We've sort of lost that family. I mean, not lost, but we've lost a lot of that family connection. I wonder if we had more family connection, a tighter knit America, might we be able to do away with these dating sites because family could introduce us to wonderful people, or we could meet people through the family and things like that?
Well,
what do you think?
I think the construct is still the same, that when the right person is going to show up, it's going to show up. Now, we were talking in that podcast about arranged marriages, and that's where somebody forces somebody to marry somebody that the family thinks would be a good fit. You might not think it's a good fit, and one or the other persons might not want to be in it, but they stay in it because it's the way things are done. I don't think that's, for me, the right thing to do, because I really believe that somebody's going to come into our lives, as it did for me already, and it may in the future, and it's done for you with Tom, who's the right fit and the right connection for us.
I think I should have prefaced it by saying I believe the dating sites are simply increasing the numbers of people that you can have exposure to.
Okay, fair enough, yeah.
And I was wondering if we had a more family-oriented culture, if we could, instead of a dating app doing that for us, if the family culture could do that for us.
I think that decreases the numbers. I don't think it improves the numbers. I think it decreases it, because you're only in your community, and it's only the religion that you follow, and it's only the social mores that you follow. So I think that's small versus the dating sites are large. I love the idea that you can meet a lot of people. That I think is great, but I don't think necessarily the family is doing that on a larger scale. I think it's a much smaller scale.
I agree with you after you said that. I thought I would disagree with you, but I agree with you.
Okay. Point, counterpoint.
Shucks.
Point.
Point. Ping, ping, ding, ding. So I heard a statistic not too long ago that, and I know we're talking about dating etiquette, but I just have some statistics I wanted to run by you to see what you thought of this.
Yeah.
And I know we were speaking not too long ago to someone 25 to 30 age group, and the statistic is among singles, 60% are not looking for any type of relationship. I was shocked when I heard that.
Well, the person that we were just speaking to was between 25 and 35, but your statistic is worldwide or all across all demographics, all age groups? Like what?
I think it's all age groups, just among singles. If you're single and you're breathing, 60% of you are not looking for any type of relationship.
Yeah, I don't know. That number seems higher.
That's what I thought.
In a demographic that I know. Because folks in the demographic I know are either divorced and looking for a life partner, or they're widowed or widowers and they're looking for a life partner. So that number seems higher than I would have thought.
And 45% of people looking for love use dating apps. And to me, that seems about right.
Yeah,
45%.
Yeah, that seems about right.
Yeah. I think I'm going to invite you, Susan, so I'll buy. I'm going to invite you to a wonderful cocktail that will hopefully increase our odds. If someone is out there looking for love, this cocktail is going to increase your odds of finding that person.
Okay. So let me get that organized. Hang on one second. The drink of the day is called Love Yourself, in keeping with our theme of we may not find anybody who loves us, so you love yourself, or dance with the person who loves you. Okay, that's dance with yourself.
I like that.
The person who loves you. I just made that up. Anyway, it's vodka. It's supposed to be vanilla vodka, but I didn't have vanilla vodka, so I have vodka and vanilla, so I mixed the two together.
Smart.
Yeah.
You're hired.
I'm very smart for those guys out
Wicked
there.
smart.
And strawberries, crushed. Frozen.
So-
they're not frozen anymore because they've been hanging around for a long time. But
But vodka, vanilla, and strawberry.
yeah, and a little bit of lime juice.
Cheers.
Cheers, honey.
Dink.
Think.
Oh, that's a nice, easy one.
Oh, that is easy. That's a feminine drink right there.
Yeah, that really is.
Okay, so take it away. We were talking about.
Well, I mean, back on our topic of dating etiquette, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So, if someone has children, which many people do, and they are dating, when do you feel it's appropriate to introduce the new dating person to your children?
I think you wait as long as possible. No, seriously, I think you wait until you have a good, solid relationship between you before you start introducing family members, because I've seen too many times where family members try to pull the new couple apart, and often for good reason. And it's often daughters, and it's for good reason. They miss their mother, who's usually passed away or maybe divorced, and they miss their parents' unit, and they don't like the new person because it's not their mother and it's different and it's unusual, and so they don't support it as much as they should. And I've seen this time and time again. But I think if you as a couple can develop a rock solid relationship between the two of you, then you can start introducing family. But introducing it too early, the relationship's too fragile, I think.
I agree with you on this one. I wanted to disagree, but I agree with you on that one. I also feel introducing the children should be like, at what age do you introduce a cell phone to your child? For me, I say wait as long as you can. I would say wait as long as you can before you bring the relationship to your kids.
And when we say kids, like we're often talking 40-year-olds or something, like if you're in your 60s, right? Or you have adult kids who should know what relationships are all about. I'm not talking about if you marry somebody or are heavily dating somebody who's got youngsters. I'm not talking about that.
I'm talking about that.
Okay, but even still, I think the theory is the same. Wait
I
as
agree.
long as possible. Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
It's just and it's almost a respect thing. Wait as long as you can.
Yeah.
Be respectful of your family.
right.
And do it when you know you have more of a rock solid relationship with the person that you're interested in.
Yeah, no matter what, I think you're right. But my experience is with adult children who are often toxic to the new relationship. Instead of, I've got to believe, my parents are married for a long time, very happy. They died within 2 years of each other. But I've got to believe if one of them died a long time before the other one, that I would want that parent to partner with somebody else and see them happy and see them out doing things. I would think that would be my point of view. So I don't understand why some of these adult children try to pull it apart before before it has legs. You know what I mean?
Probably cultural differences, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I think my earlier point, which is that they miss their old family unit, might very well be it as well. So anyway, this is a long-winded answer to your simple question of, wait as long as possible until your relationship feels solid before you introduce the family.
I think so too. And I think I would hope that your adult age children would be digesting this concept easier. I was thinking more of the young ones, like from 0 to 16, the young kids. I've got to imagine that would be difficult for them to stomach, seeing a parent with someone else.
Okay, I agree with that. And let me add a caveat, though, since we're talking about that younger demographic. Um, I also think that if the relationship has some solidity, like it's really going to work out, that the sooner you introduce an intact family unit, a husband and wife, or male and female, or two males, two females, whatever it is, an intact family unit, the better off the children will be ultimately, because they can feel kind of normal again, and they have both parents or both partners to relate to. I still think it has to be a solid relationship before you introduce them, but I also would believe that you probably want to get in there and help those kids sooner rather than later, if we're talking kids.
And I think, too, how you are introducing your new person to your children matters as well. Like someone that can help with homework, someone that comes over for dinner every now and again, someone, introduce it slowly and properly.
Right.
I think that makes a big deal,
Now,
big difference.
If you're divorced and you're introducing them to Mrs. Brown, who lives next door, who used to be married to Mr. Brown, that's a little bit of a different story. Okay, like that, like you got to be. But anyway, no, you're right. I agree.
The other thing I was wondering in my head is the younger generation, and I'm talking 20, 25, 30, maybe up to 35. They have grown up in an age, and I get so confused on millennial, Gen X, Gen Y, and Gen 90210, whatever it is. They are in a swipe left, swipe right, quick world. And so the way their dating etiquette is 180 degrees probably from our dating etiquette, because we're so much older and it's generationally different. What do you think? How are the young people going about dating, Susan? If you had to guess, is it just online sites and swipe left, swipe right, swipe left?
So I have a couple of points of view. One is that if you compare dating these days to dating when, say, our parents were dating, the social mores have changed so much that when our parents were dating, I remember my mother telling me this about her friend Gladys. Gladys got married very late in life, honey. I'm like, oh no, how old was Gladys? 25. And I'm thinking, 25? That's not old. But back then, you needed to glom onto a guy, you needed to start having a family, you needed to get the white picket fence. Like, there was expectations. So if you got to 25, you usually glommed onto somebody who wasn't right, as in the case of Gladys, for example, and because you wanted the whole Norman Rockwell painting, you wanted the whole spiel. So nowadays, people are more like, I want this, but not that. I'll tolerate this, but not that. And I think that's probably more good than bad, but it narrows the field.
Well, I feel like in this podcast, we have discussed the two most important items in the dating world. So I think, Susan, if you have a tip of the podcast that might be able to tie into this whole dating theme.
Yeah, I'm not sure how good it ties in, but I've been enthralled with these supplements, and it's called Sunny Within, and it helps maintain longevity, but not just longevity, but
cool.
mental clarity and mood effectiveness, and balances your hormones and things like that. And you end up feeling really good on this, and it's in a sort of a liquid capsule form that you can take, put it in a smoothie, or you can drink it just out of its container here. Sunny Within is the name of it, and I swear by it.
Let's see. It looks watermelon. This one is watermelon lime flavor. NAD is like the hot thing right now.
That's the hot thing. That's in it.
CoQ10, glutathione, vitamin B12, lactoferrin, MCT oil, also a hot thing people put in their coffee, and choline, and it's made with avocado oil. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because I think if you feel good, sort of within, then you can project that as you're out on the dating scene or any scene. And you come across as being, I don't know, sunny within, I guess.
Well, regardless of dating, I love the longevity aspect of that. And the other really hot topic, which I don't know why I'm bringing it up right now, but I'm bringing it up, is lion's mane.
Oh, God.
Lion's
I've been
mane for
using
memory.
lion's mane forever. I love lion's mane.
Lion's mane.
I just ordered this new coffee that has lion's mane in it and other mushrooms. It's reishi, R-E-I-S. I'll bring it in when it comes in.
Please do. I
Yeah.
want to see that. I'd love to try some of that.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So this is going to be a wrap on our dating etiquette podcast. As always, we together can rise to the top, stay at the top, have a lot of fun at the top, and dream bigger than we've ever dreamed. I want to thank everyone for listening and for supporting us. We really appreciate it. And that would be a dating etiquette wrap. Woo! We thank you for listening and hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you did, please share this show with friends and family and subscribe to our YouTube channel. This way, you'll never miss weekly drops. Stay strong, dream big, and floss your teeth.